I'm on a search for a story this Shabbos. For some reason, I thought it was from the Bavur dynasty, from the Divrei Chaim of Sanz, a certain story. So I asked Rebbe Michel, who lives here in Milwaukee. That's his tradition, that's his family line. And he said he's not aware of the story. So this is a call out to anyone that listens to this. If you know the source of this story, if I misconstruing any of the details of it, please let me know. I heard it 15 years ago from Rabbi Shmuel Braun, but he himself doesn't remember the story. And it always stuck with me. It's a very, very incredible story, which talks about this idea of, the descent of generations, that we can't do the same things as previous generations. But is that really true? Is it really true that we can't? And it led to Rebbe Michel saying to me that it reminded him of a story that he knows that is similar, that he absolutely loves. And he told me to come back to him later that Shabbos to hear this story from him. So I want to share with you the two stories. And if someone knows the source of the first story, please, 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 I beg of you to let me know. So there once was a Hasidic Rebbe that was by a tish. And he made Kiddush and on the wine with Devekas, with cleaving, spiritual cleaving. And then afterwards, he washed for bread and for hamotzi. So as he was doing this, the candles that were keeping the room lit were flickering out very early. Normally the tish went on very late, but it looked like there was going to be no ability for the tish to continue past a few minutes. And the Chassidim looked disappointed. And after this Rebbe said Kiddush and took his first bite of bread, he looked at the Chassidim and said to the Chassidim, I once was by a tish of the Alter Zaydi, and it looked like the flames of the candles were going to go out. Everyone looked disappointed and sad. And the Alter Zaydi said to his Chassidim, if we have emunah and bitachon, if we trust and have faith in Hashem that the candles will stay lit, then they will. And by that tish, the candles stayed lit for the entire night. But that was something that the Alter Zaydi and his Chassidim were able to do and were allowed to do. But we're not able to, and we're not allowed to. He took a bite of his challah, and his eyes closed, and he started to bang on the table. He said, Hey, Rebbe Shepa, holy God, holy God. And he continued to say this for 1 minute, 2 minutes, for a few minutes. And it looked like the candles were going to go out, and the Chassidim were looking at their Rebbe in Devekas in complete unity with Hashem. And then he opened up his eyes, looked at the Chassidim, and he said to them, I once was at a tish of the Alter Zaydi, and the candles looked like they were going to burn out way too early. The Chassidim were disappointed, and the Alter Zaydi said to them, if we have emunah and bitachon in Hashem, that these candles will last, then they will. And the candles lasted for many hours. They were able to do such things, and they were allowed to. But we are able to, but we're not allowed to. Took another bite of the challah, and his eyes closed again. And he went into Vekas, and he started to bang on the table once again. Hey, Rebbe Shepa, holy God, holy God. They kept on saying this, and the Chassidim were watching him as the candles were flickering. And after many minutes, he opened his eyes once again. And he said, the Alter Zaydi was once sitting at a tish with his Chassidim, and the candles were burning low. And he said to his Chassidim, If we have emunah and bitachon in Hashem that the candles can be lit for as long as we want them to, then they will be lit for that amount of time. And the candles stayed lit for the night. But that was something that was with the Alter Zaydi and his Hasidim. They were able to do such things, and they were allowed from the heavens to do such things. And if they were able to, and if they were allowed to, so too we are able to, and we are allowed to. And the candles remained lit for the entire night. So Rebbe Michel told me when I said this to him, he said, I don't know what's that from, but I do have a similar story. So after Shabbos, Motzi Shabbos, I went into his little office that's on the stage, and I said to him, I'd love to hear the story. So he said, okay, this is the story. And he said, it's a story that he tells to mechamchim, to educators. He said to them that one time the Shin of a Rov was, which is was the oldest son of the Divrei Chaim. I remember his name is Rabbi Yechezkel Shraga. Let's make sure. Right. His name was Shinabarav, was the eldest son of the Divrei Chaim, Rebbe Chaim of Sanz. And his name was Rabbi Yechezkel Shraga Halberstam. Lived from 1813 to 1898. So the Shinabarav was one time traveling by carriage with his gabbai, the person that was with him all the time and helping him. And for whatever reason, as they were traveling on this carriage, he wanted to have a smoke. He wanted to light up his pipe. But it was a very windy night, and it was going to be very hard to light this outside. But nevertheless, he asked his helper to, grab the flint. That was the way that they lit things, with the flint, and to light the pipe. And the person said, I'm going to try, but I don't think it's possible. Sure, just go ahead, try. So he tried and he tried and he tried. And he hit the rock and hit the rock and hit the rock and hit the rock. And tried. And it just kept going out. It seemed impossible. And the Shinarab, when his helper was giving up, the Shinarab said, you know what, why don't you give me the flint and you take the pipe and I'll try to light it. So the first time that he struck it, he put his hands over it like this. He lit the pipe the first time. And his helper said to him, Rebbe, such a miracle? And the Shinarab said, you want to hear a miracle? I'll tell you a miracle. He said, one time, by the Shabbos table of the Rimmon of a Rav, something miraculous happened. The Rebbe of Rimonov would take Shabbos and Plaga Mincha very early. When he would say Kiddush, you would see the sun shining and reflecting off of it. He started Shabbos very, very early. But on one particular Shabbos, even though it was so early on Friday, you couldn't see any sun. There was such a horrible storm outside with such incredible wind. And after the Rebbe made Kiddush and his wife had already lit candles, the storm shattered somehow the window in the room that they were in. And the gust of wind came in. It was uncomfortable, and rain, and it was terrible. So one of the Hasidim said, let's get the window fixed. It's still early enough. It's before Shabbos. Let's just go get the window fixed. Everything will be good. And the Rebbe said to him, absolutely not. This is Shabbos for me. We're not fixing the window. The Chassid said, but what about the candle? What about the licht? They're going to blow out from the wind, and there will be rain in the room. It's going to be terrible. And the Rebbe said, 1 second. And he gets up, and he walks over to this blasted out window. He stands near the window. He looks one direction, he looks in the other direction, and he says, no wind's going to blow the candles out this Shabbos. And it didn't. So the Shin of Rav said to him, that's a real miracle. That's a real miracle. With me and the ember, all I did was I knew to place my hands over it to protect it from the wind. The Shin of Rav, he stopped the wind from coming into his house. And Rebbe Michel said that this is something that I like to tell mechanchim educators, because it used to be in previous generations there were mechanchim that were pashut miraculous. It was incredible what they could do and how they could impact their students. But the avodah today is very different. The avodah today is like that ember with its hands around it. The mechanech needs to show a lot of love and care to the kid. Just needs to know how to place his hands around that ember, around that fire. So those are two awesome stories. If you know the first story, the source of it, please, I beg of you to please let me know. Thank you.